ZHeros is, according to Italian developers Rimlight Studios' press release, a new-gen 3D beat-em-up based on the genre hallmarks. Above all, smashing hordes of enemies and punching stuff. It's already out on Steam, but I was lucky enough to get my hands on the PS4 version. There is clearly a 90s influence in their storytelling style. The opening scenes reminded me of both Spyro and Crash Bandicoot's minimalistic plot development and booting us straight into the action. I say straight into the action. I wasn't the only person to report inhumanly long loading screens the first time the game tried to boot, but boot it did, and I was dropped into a spaceport to battle my way through. The game introduces enemies like Borderlands does bosses. A nice zoom in and freeze frame with a catchy little subtitle to let us see the details on the enemies we are about to punch, hopefully into space. It's handy it does that, to be honest, as once combat starts it all gets a bit messy. Once there are more than a few enemies in shot and combos start being chained together, I found it really hard to see what was actually happening, and the nice crisp aesthetic descended into colourful splodges, out of which I would emerge victorious and in need of a healing crate. ZHeros has the usual combination of light and heavy attacks, combos and a block function. They are all functional, and I'm sure that someone with better twitch reflexes than me would have mastered them. But I found them a tad heavy and cumbersome to use, and often resorted to button bashing my way through with seemingly little consequence, as there are more healing crates littered around than enemies in some places. I mean, even that is useful, as some of the hitboxes for the traps, laser beams, fire and electricity to name a few, were huge, hitting me when I was nowhere near them. And then my hero would become trapped in their beam and stand there shaking for a while, with no chance to dodge out of the way, which seemed to punish me twice for every mistake I made. And there were a fair few of those, but thanks to the healing crate fairy, I never needed to worry. There's a nice variety of enemies, and as the levels go on, the numbers within a wave increase dramatically. But, and I have to be honest here, the fun disappeared as the waves increased, as I found myself monotonously punching my way through, finally figuring out that one combo seems to destroy everything, and I found myself longing for the end of each level. Even with the different enemy types, I was never forced to change my style, and I found that meant I stopped feeling invested. Different games have approached Melee differently, and their approach has reflected the style of the gamer they want to attract. Dark Souls' precision dodge and counter perfectly caters for people that like slow, massive, sparse RPGs. Devil May Cry's manic combat suits the hordes of people who just want to feel cool blowing up massive demons. I am definitely one of those. You know, I'm not really sure what ZHeros wants me to do. Does it want that fast-paced combat like the old Street Fighter games? Does it want me to patiently master combos like Tekken? There was lots to do in combat, but it didn't feel that coherent, and I think the 3D was part of that. It wasn't bad, it just didn't feel necessary or like it was adding something, and that led to some questionable camera positions that definitely didn't help. It is pretty though, with a thumping soundtrack that did induce arcade flashbacks that had me checking around to see if the bigger kids were wanting their go. The game is packed full of features, including the by now mandatory RPG Lite elements of upgrading gear, which didn't seem to make a huge deal of difference to me, and replayable levels to get all the collectibles. There's even giant mechs with lasers you control, and while undoubtedly cool, they made the combat even easier as I just strolled through. You know, I want to love ZHeros, as it contains several elements that I look for in a good game, but it does feel consistently incoherent. I would still recommend it though, as I think Rimlight have had some good ideas, and I have a feeling this could become one of those games that shines a little bit brighter with some nostalgia on it. It's definitely long enough to keep you going for a good 7 to 10 hours, and it is pretty. Ultimately, can we ask for any more than smashing pretty objects with pretty colours as gamers? You know, I'm not sure, but if you like and subscribe, I feel that we might just find out together. Thanks for watching.